What's going on, you boys? Welcome back to another episode of Ray and Kyle Everything Sports Podcast. Today we're going to go over our updated MVP for this NBA season. Who is your MVP for this season, Kyle?
So, a new season is among us. Football season's over with. After the All-Star break, NBA officially kicks off, so we're going to lock in our predictions. We did a pre-season. Now we're doing basically the mid-season. I'm sticking with my guy. I'm going with Luka Doncic. I said at the beginning of the year, or before the year started, I think this guy can really take over the league. He's been on the verge of that. Made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, our West Conference Finals 2 years ago. Lost to the Warriors, who ended up winning the championship. But this year, 34, 8, and 10, 49% shooting. But the big problem for his MVP race is they are the 7th seed. They're currently 5 games behind the Thunder, which is the 2 seed. But I think after this All-Star break, they can really pick it up. And I think Luka is going to continue to be dominant. He dropped 73 a couple weeks ago. We know what he brings to the table offensively, but the big thing is his defense, and they're winning. The biggest question for Luka is his style of play, does his style of play translate to wins? And you can say no, you can say yes. It's still up in the air right now, but this guy has made it to a Western Conference Finals. He's been 2 games away from making it to the Finals. And they add Kyrie, they add another rookie in Lively who's looking like he's going to be a star. So I think that Luka can continue to ball out. I think if he brings his team within 4th or 3rd seed, I think we could be looking at his first MVP. So I'm going to keep Luka Doncic as my MVP, but they got to get a higher seed for that to happen.
To me, he's my number 2. I think he finishes right in that top 5 every year for the past couple of years, and I think he'll finish with that again. And could see, depending on how the years goes up, maybe he'll switch to that for me. But for me right now, it's going to be SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Thunder are in the 2 seed right now because of him. They're in 2nd place. And if you look at it, it's really only because of him. He's 2nd in points, 1st in steals. He's the only player in the league averaging over 2 steals a game. And then you look at who they have around him. No other player on the team is top 30 in any major stat. And outside of Chet Holmgren's rebounds, no other player on the team, or on their starters at least, is in the top 50 of any major stat. So he's just been really performing. He's 2nd in points and has the 2nd most minutes for the top 12. So he's just being really productive when he's on the court, even though he's not on as much as a lot of the other players that are up there with him in that stats category. So I just think his production and his leading that team so far this year to the 2nd best record in the West, I think he's really proved that he is the MVP for this season.
Yeah, and I think that's a valid pick. Like you say, he's going crazy. They are the 2nd seed, 37-17, crazy record. We know how young their team is. Chet Holmgren, he's up for Rookie of the Year because he didn't play last year due to an injury. Both Jalen Williams, the twins, spelled the same and everything. They're both playing well. They did add Gordon Hayward pre-All-Star break, so they're getting that veteran presence too. So, listen, this guy's really coming along. Last year, he showed spurts, putting up 30 in 10 straight games, I believe. Right now, he is averaging 31, 5, and 6 on 54% shooting. And that 54% shooting is really huge because this guy, he's not a type of Giannis. Giannis is 61% from the field, but a lot of his stuff is layups and dunks. Now, this is a jump shooting guy. This is a mid-range three-point. Well, he does get layups, of course, but a lot of his stuff it doesn't come easy. A lot of his stuff is off the dribble, highly contested jump shots. So I think that 54% is crazy. Luka shoots 49 too. So, and both those guys have not similar styles of play, but a lot of shooting is involved. So to shoot that high of a percentage from the field, not just driving the ball and shooting layups, I think that's huge. But right now the odds go Jokic number 1. He's minus 125. He's minus. I would never take that bet. Minus 125. That's not for an MVP. Number 2 is Shai Gilgeous. He's plus 110. Number 3 is Luka at plus 850. Giannis is 4th at plus 900, and Jason Tatum is 5th at plus 2,900. That, I think, has a lot of value. But, right now, I think both those guys are very valid. But Jokic right now he's averaging 26, 12, and 9 on 57% shooting, and they're the 4th seed. Those numbers are crazy, so I see why he is the favorite. But I like Luka, and Ray, you clearly like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, Ray, you also did have Tatum at first. So what made you switch from Tatum to Shai?
I just feel like Tatum is being outshined by his team. I don't know that of course, he's still the best player. He's still shining out of the most out of all of them. But to me, if you look at so many players in this league are dominant, but then you look as far as who is leading their team. You look as far as Luka, who also has his best man on his side. You look at Jokic, who also has the best man on his side. Shai really doesn't have that. I mean, he doesn't have another stud sitting next to him. He's got a very young team that is now second because of him. I mean, he's leading his team in every category, which a lot of other stars do, but nobody's really even contesting him. Nobody's helping him out. Like you look at JT on the other side, and he really just has four other players who all got all-star votes with him. So, I mean, all those players are really shining and helping him out. So you can't say, oh, well, the Celtics are just good because of Jason Tatum. You could make a case that OKC without SGA would be one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I definitely understand that, but I think the reason why I wouldn't have Shea as my favorite 20 is just because usually when guys have their first big year, because I think you would agree that this is probably his first really big year. Yeah,
I'd
he
probably say
showed glimpses in
consistently.
the
Last year,
past.
last year he was pretty good too, but I would say
Yeah,
consistently, yeah.
yeah, for sure. So I feel like with most guys, you kind of wait and see before you give them their MVP. With Jokic, I mean, there's a couple years where everybody was saying, "Oh, Jokic is coming along," but we had to see that consistency, and then he got his back-to-back MVPs. And then you look at Giannis. Giannis, he was a project. He was a product of I don't know France or Greece, wherever he came from, and it took him a while. And he had a couple good years before we gave him the MVP. And I think Luka. I mean, yeah, I know this isn't about the most deserving. It's about the best and the MVP, but I think Luka's been banging on the door for a while. Last year, he was the favorite coming into the season. He came in out of shape. He kind of turned a lot of people off. But I think this year, I mean, 34, 8, and 10, he's almost averaging like a 30-point triple-double on almost 50% shooting. But like you say, Shai Gilgeous second seed, Luka seventh seed. Is his style of play? Does that translate to wins? And we don't know that yet. But I think before, if I were a voter, I would have to see a little bit more from Shai as far as consistency goes before I can give them MVP over a guy with very similar, if not better, numbers than Luka.
I don't know. I feel like you have to kind of take it as season by season. I don't think you should penalize a guy for being younger and just now really getting into his prime. So I feel like if you look at it, if you look at the leaders, you got JT, Jokic, you got Luka, and then you look at Shai with the OKC, and you look if you take those four players are out, how good are the rest of the teams? I mean, obviously the Celtics are going to be by far the best with those four players you have around him. And then I mean, you have two stars that I feel like maybe wouldn't be able to lead the team as well as other stars with Kyrie and with Jamal, but I feel like you would be able to see those guys still shine. And if you look on, you take you replace Shai with any other player that's not a star. I just don't feel like there'd be any stars coming out of that OKC team.
Yeah, well, y'all, these are our MVP predictions and projections. We'll see how these pan out, but we appreciate y'all watching. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe and then there, like, follow, share with your friends, family, whoever you can, and as always, tune in next time.
Peace.